Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's scathing hot, so I've moved the laptop and the iPhone and the Tanya into the living room where I have the luxury of air conditioning. So I thought I've been busy watching Hocus Focus with Thomas Sheridan and Sarah Mondaini. Very good presentation today about the Easter Island Moai and about a very prophetic movie that was put out in 2018 which accurately predicted the COVID epoch or regime. So yeah, interesting show today. If you want to catch that, that's Hocus Focus. You can search for it on YouTube. So, so today's offerings are from the 27th of November, 2023, and it's 2:13 p.m. And it starts from 27th of November last year, 2022. With an article that I read which just annoyed me beyond belief. Scientists playing with our DNA, etc., etc., etc. It says the best way to regrow a liver with leprosy bacteria. So these are my comments on. I'm not a scientist, so I could be wrong, but I just found it a bit, a bit too freaking weird, quite frankly. Leprosy is an illness that actually literally rots off your limbs. So I can't see how leprosy bacteria will regrow anything. So anyway, here's my comments on that. And like I say, they're just my opinions and I'm not a scientist, but sometimes I read these things and I think, what kind of a person even wants to play around with things like that, interfering with the fabric of nature, right? I'm very much against that on many levels. What can go wrong with this? Let's just start with keywords, shall we? Leprosy, enlarged livers, parasites, other chimeric devices. The same sort of genetic mangling that gifted us COVID. When will these evil creatures posing as scientists just stop? Enlarged livers do not gift you long life and health. Just saying. I should know because I sport one. Not from alcoholic, disorders, but from years and years of psych meds, 15 years of psych meds and bad diet. So it's not a pleasant condition to live with. It's actually very exhausting, fatiguing, and sometimes at times painful, especially if I eat the wrong foods that stir it up. So, and I continue. Why all the lies and deception? Who gets paid for this endemic manslaughter and other salient questions? Curious minds, mine, want to know. Who's running this weird scientific paradigm that is actually quite anti-humanist in my opinion? Trust the science is like getting in bed with Dr. Mengele. Shameful and disgraceful and anti-humanist. Don't mind me. I will sit back and watch your leprotic parasites turn your bodies to rot. So I find it interesting that they chose to portray an armadillo, which I presume is where they're harvesting the leprosy bacteria from. So they can blame the armadillo when everything goes to shit. Just like when COVID first came out, They were blaming pangolins and bats. Remember that? Always got to have a scapegoat, or in that case, a scapebat. It's really quite disgusting and evil, isn't it? It really is. Trigger warning, true accounts of systemic abuse in my own Brisbane Jewish community, and the COVID epoch globalist abuses also. Interesting that this has been outsourced to the Catholic Church. I was absolutely insulted and othered when I was present at the meeting to organise a Holocaust centre. Things that make you go, So it was the announcement of the first Queensland Holocaust Museum and Education Centre is set to open at the site of the Cathedral of St Stephen Precinct in the CBD. And I did indeed visit there on the 13th of November. And it is excellent, but I still find it odd that it's situated where at the cathedral, on the land of the Cathedral of St Stephen's. A friend, Ashley Alexia, asked, can you elaborate on this? Do you think there's a connection here? My daughter's father has a real boner for raising her Catholic, and I've had no qualms with the Catholic people I have known. He used to be a pagan. Me, Ashley Alexia, I have no qualms with Catholics or any religion. I have had long-standing Cold Wars and epic abuse from within my own Brisbane Jewish community. I was an active member in our reform movement for 30 years. During that time, I was slandered and accused of being a Nazi because I had a German mother, and it took 2 years and my German Israeli reform rabbi having to fight alongside me to clear my reputation. This was just after migrating here with my husband and 2 babies. Then when it came to Crystal's bat mitzvah, I was vilified again. Now that would have been in 1998, around the 6th of November, which is her birthday. This time due to my level of poverty as a divorcee and a single mother struggling on my own. It was an absolute disgrace how I was treated. The shul tried to cancel the bat mitzvah. Again, my rabbi went into bat for me. I also attempted an Orthodox conversion in 1994, and this was so vicious and slanderous that I gave it up at the 11th hour. It just left such a bad taste in my mouth how I was vilified and slandered by another Orthodox candidate converting to Orthodoxy. Vicious, ugly woman. And the rabbis, the Beit Din in Sydney, were playing nepotism with the wealthy, which again did not sit well with me. So I decided not to go ahead with it out of principle alone. The Sydney Beit Din discriminated against me, expected me to fly to Sydney when I had no money to do so, but yet they flew rabbis up here for wealthy candidates. So that was the bit that ground my gears, right? It was just the injustice and the unfairness of it. The same candidates that were viciously vilifying me and accusing me of not really keeping kosher, and that the kosher cheese I was selling from my Orthodox, Yemenite, Kabbalist, Rabbi Moshe Cohen, a beautiful soul, did not have a valid hechsher, more lies and tyranny, like absolutely undermining their own rabbis. It's actually, that was the other thing that I thought was disgraceful. Rabbi Cohen was a food technologist before he became a rabbi. So I can be certain he knew how to discern if a product was worthy of a Hechsher, or in English, kosher certification, that he himself supervised at the Kenilworth cheese factory. And he was a decent and honourable man who had behaved towards me decent and honourably throughout the time that I had, contact with him, even prior to my Orthodox conversion, actually. He was a truly good man and a good rabbi, and didn't deserve the way he was maltreated, by the way. After that ugly, putrid, dirty fracas, they did not renew his contract as a rabbi, so basically ran him out of town. Then, foolishly, in February 2020, specifically 20th of February 2020, I attended the meeting for this Holocaust Centre to be installed. I was humiliated and insulted by various members of our venal community. One mocked and derided my shoes. Can you believe it? They behaved like peasants and infested schoolyard bullies. I laughed my ass off. I actually laughed in their faces. That's how disgusting they behaved and how surreal it actually became, that I just started laughing because it was just insane, the whole thing. The shoes are beautiful, but unbeknownst to those sexualizing, fucked up predators, cost me only $4 in an op shop. And it wouldn't matter if they cost me $1,000. It's just the principle of treating me like I was some dirty, scrabby old whore. Like, the nerve of it. After I had been fighting a long battle for about 10 years, and within our community and in wider communities, on the issue of child sexual abuse, defending our community's children and wanting to protect them as well. So that was my crime, right? Read between the lines why I have certain enemies in my community to this day, the calibre of their souls. Don't like a woman fighting for our children to be safe, because bottom line, they don't want our children to be safe, because underneath that, they're predators. As I said in a previous video, I know the calibre of your soul, and I know exactly who you are now. Treat a woman like me who's fought hard for children's safety, then that tells me exactly who you are. I made particular mention about my concentration camp surviving stepfather being a monster and a pedophile, and I wanted them to know that whilst I fully endorse the continued memory of the Holocaust and wanted that centre built, along with all the other adult child survivors of the Holocaust in my community, bear in mind the man who was so vicious to me is also a child survivor, that we must also always remember the intergenerational victims of survivors of concentration camps that were so damaged they thought nothing of constantly predating on their children. This includes their biological children. I will never sway from the truth of child sexual abuse that is as pernicious in our Jewish community as it is in every vector of human society. A putrescence and a scourge without end. They made fun of me for my geographic address. Erroneously, as I moved out of that vile, lowest socio-economic ghetto back in 2003. So they were mocking and deriding me for my level of poverty and perceived low status, they hadn't even realised I've upgraded myself since then, babies. So the dumb cunts were attacking and vilifying me and had not done the homework to see I had upgraded and fought a long, hard battle with my own government to do so. Ultimately, it wasn't really about the shoes, my address, or my fierce stance against child sexual abuse, or even about the last major Jewish genocide. They were already injecting themselves with Mother Hydra's babies like it was a fashion statement, injecting their own babies. I referred to Moriah College in Sydney as Moloch College for actively promoting the transubstantiation to the effect they wanted to inject nannies, neighbours, and any human vaguely associated with their kids. Which is a horror without end, by the way. A complete fucking horror without end. So the Tanya screamed, "Hell no!" And I will be standing in defiance of these sick, perverted, evil people forever. Or at least until I leave this rotten place and this compromised, pustulant, pestilential, greedy, corrupt, mortal coil. Because it's everywhere, right across the globe. The harms that were done to humanity are only now coming to the fore, and the truth is only now, in the last, year and a half, 2 years, starting to be revealed. And I saw it from day dot, and I can credit and gift being tortured on a daily basis emotionally by predators from a very young age with that gift of insight and or foresight. So the Brisbane Jewish community that lacks decency, courage, and genuine respect for a certain woman, indeed most women, because I saw how completely rude that male was to another wealthy member, child survivor of the Holocaust, who actually funded this Holocaust centre. I witnessed how insulting and degrading he was to her. And she must be used to it because it literally just went right over her head. I was appalled, absolutely appalled. He made a crack about her being rich while sneering at me about being poor, right? Like the complete othering and the misogyny and the elitist smugness on the part of this man was appalling. And he's high up in our community, very well recognised, held in high esteem. Not by me. It's not the first time I've seen him be degrading and insulting towards me, by the way, in the past. It's actually in my journaling, comes up from time to time. But of course, he was good mates with David Davidson, so what do you expect? Like cures like. Scum remains scum in every echelon, and the truth will always rise to the surface, and I'll make damn sure I hold on to that truth like a fucking life raft, because at the end of the day, after all the humiliation and degradation and othering and insults and life-threatening behaviours, that's all I've got left, babies, is my truth. And I'll be damned if it goes down or up to Valhalla with me. It's partly why I make these videos. so everybody knows who the hell I am, where I'm going, and where I came from. And all those malevolent, low-level entities can get the fuck out of my way and stop oppressing me with their bullshit and their perceived judgments of me, because on many, many levels they are so wrong, so very wrong about what kind of a spirit I am. I'm nothing if not courageous in the face of complete and utter evil. They are now outsourcing the Holocaust Centre to the Catholics, which I find weird. And like I say, I've got nothing against the Catholic Church per se, or Catholics in general. But I know how they behaved during World War II. There's a certain twisted irony in all of this. One day I'll find it laughable, but at the moment, no, it's too fucking weird. There will be more behind this, of course, but I no longer give a fuck as to how and where they set this up. As long as there is a living memory of the Holocaust and there is education, so this evil shit is not continuously perpetrated on my watch in my lifetime, as I have suffered enough systemic abuse and vilification for having, in more ways than one, the moral fibre and backbone to defy all my abusers, up to and including that enclave of evil that is the Jewish Board of Deputies of Brisbane. Except for the current president, who's taken back the reins, is a noble and decent man who did have my back then, 3 years ago. So, there's always one earth angel and one decent, honourable man in any viper's nest. But he wasn't president at the time that disgrace happened to me. And I can't help feeling that if he had been, that would not have been handled in that way. Because there are good people in our community, but unfortunately, the rot's seeping everywhere, isn't it? Everywhere, across all paradigms, faiths, creeds, religions, cults, secular society, the rot is seeping everywhere, and it has been for a very long time. As a Jew, albeit a lapsed one now, it is my holy duty to stand for truth, even if it meant that I am cast out and scapegoated by the most malevolent, venal cunts. I saw one rabbi leave Australia completely and another one be driven out of his role, so I know well how the elites in our community treat fellow Jews of much higher spiritual, moral, ethical calibre than they, while they scrabble in their own shit of their own making. I simply watch and wait. Karma is a bitch. Smiley face. These children of Holocaust survivors, who have behaved no better than their former torturers of the Nazi regime, have blood and tears on their hands, our own children and grandchildren. Shameful it truly is. So when they see me, they know. I know exactly who and what they are. Will the Catholic Church protect and respect our living memory of the Shoah? The Vatican sold Jews out during the Holocaust, over and over again. I have not forgotten. So it's ironic, the placement of this. That is all I'm saying. I will visit when it's built. I hope they don't turn it into a further disgrace. The ones that did not survive the camps, who did not get the opportunity to raise children in safe, wholesome, decent, respectful environments, without the domestic violence and sexual abuse, the good men and women and children who died in the gas chambers, in the tunnel of Mittelbaldora, in the writhing, agonised mass graves, shot and stripped naked, deserved better. Their souls cry out for justice, to be honoured and remembered, for future generations to behave with nobility and respect for life and our planet. But instead we are gifted COVID by our own scientists. It's almost so breathtakingly absurd, but this is where we are at. Another mass genocide, while our leaders fawn and fillet the orchestrators for a few extra bucks or the false promise of eternal life. Ha 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 ha. It's not funny, but sometimes you have to laugh in the face of their perversion and insanity. I won't bother reading the comments section. If you want to read the comments, this is posted on Vocal Media, and you're welcome to read any of my thoughts, feelings, opinions from my daily journal, which is posted up on there. The sky's quite dark outside. Looks like we're going to get a storm. It's very humid today. I've been busy polishing a couple of sterling silver spoon rings because I'm going to try again at the markets for the first time in 12 months. Try and get my little Titania's Realm business up and running, or at least make a little bit of extra money before Hanukkah comes. Wish me luck. I made a comment here which I will share with you. Not all concentration camp survivors were cruel, ruthless abusers. I just got lucky. But yes, we are witnessing the same ruthless, murderous finality in our current COVID epoch, so we get a taste firsthand of exactly how the Holocaust was put into motion with such ease and grace, because most people are cowards, turn a blind eye, or take money as bribes, rather than stand up and say no and fight against tyranny. That includes the Vatican at that time. My friend thought I was talking about adrenochrome. I don't know where she got that idea from, but anyway, I replied, I don't know if adrenochrome is actually real, hun. We have far worse governmental vampires in real world right now. They are sucking us of our life force, our freedoms, and our ability to reproduce on a daily basis, with their boosting everyone to their own graves. Evil it is. They take our life's blood in return for a donut or a football ticket, and gift us only clogged arteries with some unknown substance never seen before. But should we worry? Yes, we should and must fight every single day of our lives. But instead, crickets and bullying and cowardice. This is a spiritual war, one I have been fighting for a very long time. From within my own Jewish community. The right of the individual to be safe, to thrive, to be treated with basic kindness and respect, not to be poisoned so the 1% can use our planet as a giant playground or a medical experiment. Fuck them. So my friend was still going on about adrenochrome, and again I reiterated, it's probably real, but I have no experience of it. It's just too awful to contemplate that wealthy people would feed off infant blood to provide them with youthful complexions is too horrific. But it's possible. COVID taught me what the masses are capable of in their delusions of eternal life or false premises of safety, but I already knew. My mother survived Nazi Germany, herself selling me out to various sexual predators in our family for the price of a gold bangle that got turfed out of a window in a drive back in 2005. I got that bangle as a 9-year-old child. So I know what not nice or dishonourable people will do to their own children. Anyway, I have survived. I didn't post the whole comment, so it's a bit choppy. of November 2021. Thought for the day, and I have had cause to remind people of this many, many, many times over the last 2 decades. We are all going to die, but not today, or not all at the same time. Life is precious. Love each day is a mysterious, unwrapped, beautiful gift. Eat that ice cream, hug your children, and tell them stories of grandeur and magic and hope and beauty. Remind them that the future belongs to them, and they will be the way showers for the generations that are dying out, as is part of the natural process of life. Live each day in bliss and peace, manufactured by heart and your own spirit and your own inner knowing, intuition. Turn off the media whores and assorted, spreading, verminous troglodytes that infect you with a worse virus than any disease or virus or other calamity. Smile at each other, at strangers. Remind random people and animals that the world can still be sacred and kind and safe. You are the one that you have been waiting for. Love that person that got you through so many other ghastly horrors to this moment in time, breath by breath, on wings of angels, on hope and resilience, and sometimes, yes, manic denial. But fuck that. This is a deliberate, orchestrated agenda, so refuse to play in the bra section and get out and dance to your own tunes. Dance. Make love, relish and cherish each moment. See each other, truly see with open hearts and open minds. We are all destined to die, but don't let anyone kill your spirit prematurely. Kind regards, the Tanya. 27th of November 2020. Liver scan done and dusted. Now for some food and drink. Yay. Laura Martin, my friend in Canada, wrote, she's like me, she's got a bit of a dark sense of humour. Will you have a nice Chianti with that liver? I replied, I doubt my liver is very palatable after 15 years of psychotropic psych medication and the occasional Jack Daniels. It's also had to filter more bullshit than the average human. My insides had to whelp all the toxic energy from narcopaths and attempted murderers. So I think, no. Lecter would not choose my liver, although he might admire my wit and other stranger organs. My lungs would be rather brittle too. My bladder has been artificially hitched. My heart broken and battered so many times. It's now kintsugi. Ha ha ha. The Tanya is unpalatable on several fronts. Not so easily digested. Laura, it sounds like you're pretty safe from cannibals. Psychic vampires are another story, however. I replied, ah yes, psychic vampires. Ugly people. They are everywhere. And she replied, speaking of psychic vampires, I have been binge watching a TV series, What We Do in the Shadows, written and directed by Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi. If you haven't seen it, you really should. And I replied, it's excellent, made in New Zealand. And she replied, yes, I thought of you when I first saw it. I'm only 3 shows in so far. Working for a living is seriously cutting into my TV watching. And speaking of Taika Waititi, isn't he a gorgeous hunk of man meat? And I replied, I loved his last movie, Jojo Rabbit. It's about the Hitler Youth. And she replied, I haven't seen it yet, but I think it's on HBO this month. And then a bit later I wrote, cooking apricot chicken with the lovely chicken thighs that Margot gave me. About to drink a Jack Daniels with Coke as well. Thriving. So I must have had some at home, right? So I usually only drink when I'm out on my weekend. My one night I have 4 drinks as a limit. I only had 3 on Friday, which was unusual that I cut back a bit. I must have not been feeling so great. Thriving in a schwitzing summer heat with the sweetness and generosity and authentic love of good, kind friends. Happiness. And there's my apricot chicken. Yummy. Still 2020. Charlie just chewed on my corn chips and spat it out on the dining table. It looks like a love heart. Funny guy. He proved to be a girl in December of that year when she laid her first egg. But there's love. There's the symbol of love, people. Created by my artist, Charlie the Rainbow Lorikeet. Well, she loves me. She really does love me, that bird. Happiness is an afternoon nap, followed by a relaxing lie in a hammock and a good book and a cold glass of water on a table I remade all by myself. Shafta Mayim Bissason. And there we have it. My artistic creativity. I don't know. Is it even? Can you even see it? There, I want to make sure you can see it. Because I noticed in other videos that I thought I was pointing at the image and it was all over the show. Like my brain. All over the show, darlings. 27th of November 2019. Having a little chuckle at the song lyrics gifted to me randomly by Spirit over the past few days. Grease, you're the one that I want, starts off with chills, they're multiplying, and I'm losing control. Then something about a fire that is electrifying. Grease, internal, intense, greasy food started this off. Plus all my oh, you have to laugh, it's true. Plus all my trauma processing of recent weeks, my body finally says no. The other song, Big, has a line that says, and the nasty little thought that I've really nothing left to give. It's like being trapped in my own personal horror movie with no way out. So I was calling mine enemies out. I know when I am being variously tortured for standing in my own integrity, honour and light, for daring to speak openly and whatever. Too sick right now to care. Nothing left to give. And I had a song running through my head this morning, and it was the lyrics. I'm trying to remember what it was now. I should have written it down because I've forgotten. But it was very fucking appropriate, actually. And so I just sort of started lying in bed listening to this because because I was remembering the lyrics, the melody came through in my memory bank, and I was listening to it and I was like, oh, that's so funny and so apropos. And I was like, trying not to laugh. And anyway, it's a shame I've forgotten what it was now. It'll come back to me if I meant to remember the message. It'll come back to me because the spirits constantly, they constantly poke at me till I get the message or I remember it right. But it was delightful. Anyway, ha ha ha, listening to my lungs make tiny hissy sounds which actually sound like the pew 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 of the missiles on the Death Star. How maudlin, but deliciously vaudeville also. And my friend Brecky wrote, the Death Star? Did not know yet you are a Star Wars lover? Me too. Later I wrote, what is it about the shamanic spiritual community that they simply refuse to acknowledge their own anti-Semitic tendencies when I call them out? Bizarre. Either walk your walk or gain enlightenment and educate yourself. I do not endorse Nazis or their filleting handmaidens on my page. Bye, fellatio. I was still pissed off about the shamanism groups I were in that went rancid. absolutely fucking rancid. So, needless to say, I haven't been back, but I don't need them to be a shaman. I'm a shaman in my own right. I've done the walk, walked the walk, talked the talk, and endured the years of torment as well. Decades of torment. Anyway, last night at 4:45 a.m, my body finally purged a delayed trauma response in the most violent way. It felt like dying, another mini death. I am so sick of living this way. I wanted more out of life than this. Joy. True, noble, authentic, caring love. Peace. But I shall have to create my own serenity from the smoking ashes of my last phoenix rebirth, which means I'll be forced to scrabble around in my own shit for a few more months until my heart and full-sized plumage grows back out. Quilling is excruciatingly painful for birds. I can only imagine how excruciating it must be for mythical phoenixes. Barely enough time to rise again in their glorious fiery fury and radiance, then a dirty motherfucker with no heart and soul burns us down again. All good though. I have been reintegrating decades of trauma, betrayals, dead loves, and I will keep blowing that shit out until my body likes me again, until my spirit settles back into a new paradigm where all my most heartfelt dreams come true. And I'm witnessing it now, aren't I, in recent months. The beginning of the new paradigm that I was predicting back then in 2020. Which is proof, my darlings, that no matter how rotten and evil and malfeasant and disgraceful and cowardly and treacherous our societies become, good people like me and like others out there in the world rise above it. Might take us a while to scramble back out of the shit created for us by other people, but when we get back up on our feet, we find other souls like us and we rebuild a better society. And that is why the gods would not let me die multitudes of times. So I could be here for the rebuilding of a better society. I don't know how or what my role in that will be, if nothing else but my little YouTube videos, serving as educational reminders of what it means to be the other and to rise again and again and again in our own bodies, minds and spirits. But I don't know what my mission on earth is still ahead of me. But I know I was not allowed out of this life till I got to witness the blossoming, the new growth potentiates, the love potentiates, and my own becoming. It is awesome, and it's going to be awesome, and I'm going to witness it and participate in it and enjoy every moment of it, because I've waited eons to reach this season of awakening, of healing and of bliss. Eons. And my true lover, whoever he might be, I don't know who that person is yet, we will find each other and we will build a wonderful paradigm together, not just for ourselves, but for our families, our friends, our associates, our tribe, our community, because true, powerful, authentic, noble, passionate, romantic, caring, tender, honouring love is a magic that is the most powerful force of nature in the multiverses. The gods know, humans know, even animals and birds respond to love. But it has to be made manifest, not be some fantasy, ethereal, imaginary thing just always out of reach, circling like some horrific, nightmarish, ghostly enchantment. You have to build it from the inside out and recognize it when you see it, and be courageous and be decent and be honourable. Not these bloody polyamorous I keep drawing in that think they're just going to use and abuse and, whatever. They think that's a noble expression of love in their worldview. And I just say, not for me, sunshine. I deserve to be treated honourably and decently in a loving monogamous partnership. And if it doesn't happen, I am enough. All by myself, babies. All by myself. I've demonstrated that for the last 29 years. In fact, I'm more than just enough. I'm amazing what I have overcome alone. I am bloody amazing. If I could only trust my own self more, I wrote that back in 2020, by the way. I have experienced how majestic she can be under pressure. A diamond in the rough and a tumbled dross of a life barely worth holding on to, yet here we are. As I just said, when I segued, I am amazing, and I am worthy of a truly great love that sees me and treats me with deep, deep honour and respect, as I'm witnessing out in my social spheres, good, kind people who recognise my spirit and would never seek to harm me, never, wouldn't enter their mind, because they're above all that crass, evil shit. I'm very ill today. First, the epic gastric disorder during the night, which left me very weak. Then bad asthma at my lovely friend and hairdresser, Kylie. When I got in my car, I was hit by both waves of nausea and more coughing, as there is a pool of smoke over the entire city. Some little pyromaniac is literally going to kill me. I managed to drive home, but got hit with such a bad coughing fit, which affected my gut, ergo vomiting and gasping and praying. But I somehow got through that attack as well. So I'm lying in bed with beautiful glamorous hair and very uncomfortable lungs, even with several sprays of Ventolin. I have to laugh at the misbegotten irony that just as I fully embrace, welcome, embody, and even preach about the rising divine feminine, that I am beset with quite serious attacks in the 3D reality. I decided, though, even if I should die, I have contributed to the new awakening to spirit and the multiverses in quite astounding, awe-inspiring ways, so my work may have merit long after I officially pop my clogs. Nil caberendum et bastardos. Never let the bastards across all paradigms grind us down. I am very conscious that my German-Polish grandmother suicided 4 months before her 55th birthday. I get it. She was terminal with TB. But here I am, just over 5 months prior to my own 55th birthday. I can only hope and pray that the gods are not making me live out Eva Meyer's karma and or dharma. I did try to slip out the back jack early on 22nd of August 2015, but by crikey, by Odin, by Thor, and by the Shekhinah, or by Lilith, love your work, girlfriend goddess, I was hoping to live out my highest ideals and prettiest, most romantic and authentic dreams. I even have seen it starting to evolve for me. An offer of a dinner date last Saturday morning and a gift of a wooden rose on Sunday, even if I did buy that for myself to facilitate the sweetly obsessed homeless man moving along, who much later I realised I had actually bought a rose from him some years ago, and that is why he thought he knew me. Sweetness. But I think I might need to lay very low for the next 5 months. And then, of course, my time to exit Earth has never been in my control. Someone keeps kicking me back here. I must love myself and my gods that love me and see what pans out in the very near future. Meanwhile, I've got breathing to do. So that would have been 2019, because that event with the homeless man happened at the drumming circle, and my ex-lover Dave was sitting opposite me, looking all worried that some man yes, it was 2019, was standing behind me with a bunch of wooden roses, sort of standing over my head because I was sitting on the ground with my top hat on. But I knew someone was standing behind me. I could feel their energy. And I was just holding my own space very, very calmly. And it was interesting watching Dave actually freak out. A few very rare times, that he actually seemed to actually be concerned for my safety. Which is ironic, since he himself stalked me for fucking years. Quite malevolently at times, really. Shoving all his girlfriends in my face and cousins and friends and being nasty and demeaning, you know. It was awful. Really awful. But anyway, life goes on and I will not allow any more awfulness. Simply won't allow it. 27th of November 2018. These past few months have been intensely spiritual and soul nourishing. I let go of toxic friends, and when I did, it was like a light switched on in the abyss, and I started to climb upwards again. There was a cycling of souls that came to witness my transformation. In real world, at the casino, so many former love interests and an ex-lover, and even recently, what the fuck, an ex-lover of a former long-term woman friend. It's just madness, utter madness. To say I felt stalked and a tad creeped out is an understatement. Then when I did not show much reaction to the wannabe suitors, lovers, henchmen of lovers, or ex-friends, I had visitations from the spirit world. My first boss and family friend Susie, and a few weeks prior, my first clairvoyant manifestation of Sir James Douglas, Black Douglas. I still don't know what it all means, except that I personally hold the belief that love is eternal, and that the spirit or the energy we pour into our loved ones, as well as our enemies, can never truly die. So that explains so many of them demanding my attention as they transition from the physical world to the metaphysical world of spirit and dimensions. I don't know why this year they felt the intense need to gain my approval or my acknowledgement. Some were truly unworthy of my heart or intent. Some caused me great suffering. Some brought me great joy and were life-enhancing at a time I barely held on to life myself. It is what it is. I am at peace in my own heart. A powerful, blossoming love permeates every aspect of my life. It glows and it flows. It blesses whom it pleases and shuts out the ones that can only drain and claim without true respect or intent. Oh, and funny story. The last plumber that visited to put a camera down the sewer left me a sign in pink spray paint on my lawn, a huge kiss and several noughts. Jared saw it on Monday. It must be plumber code for the drainage people as to where the blockage was or if it's cleared. But it looked like a little love note to me. Shit happens, but so does love and magic, babies. I finally gave the suitcase I decoupaged to Crystal last night. It took over a year to complete. Wow, she seemed happy with it. I drove Crystal to work at Manly West. She didn't want me to pick her up after work, so I took Bobo for a lovely walk and paddle at Wynnum Beach. We both enjoyed having our feet in the ocean, although Bo did not want to go in too deep for a proper swim, but we ran along the boardwalk and had the wind in our hair and fur and felt much cooler and carefree. Then we came home to a hot house. Anyway, I am still tired from over a week of insomnia and only 2 nights of proper sleep, so I might have a rest now. 27th of November 2017. Busy day, vacuumed and or mopped the filthy floors because even I can't abide the pigsty anymore. Cleaned Charlie's cage, washed towels, cracked my collection of macadamia nuts, washed dishes, changed the water for the betters. Now waiting for Jared and Harvey to arrive. Nearly 5 p.m. Day went quick. Bit tired after all the odd jobs today. It is nice to have clean floors. 27th of November 2016. Watching Happy-ish, triggeringly delightful. Ha ha ha. Home from a beautiful day out with Terina at Byron Bay. She spoiled me with a beautiful lunch, French brie, olives, sun-dried tomatoes, strawberries, hot roast chicken. We had wine and lemonade. Delicious. We sat on the beach and enjoyed our feast. Unfortunately, there were blue bottles all over the beach. Bobo got a sore paw, so I think he stepped on one. So I lay in the shallows and had a little splash, trying to encourage him to come into the water. No swim, as I worried about being stung too. We had a long walk up the beach, and Bo played with dogs that he met on the sand. Lovely. Oh, it was a lovely day, and I do miss him. 27th of November 2015. To bring Charlie in a minute. There's a storm coming for real now. Alcide is not coming home to me. He needs an operation. Will be a very sick dog all his life, which was a bloody lie because my friend Julie saw her video she posted of him running around playing in the yard with his new owners. Like, evil piece of shit she was. But she refunded me all the money I spent on him and the initial vet fees. I am devastated because it wasn't about the money. I wanted the dog. Life for me is one debacle after another. Not only can I not get a loving, sexual, permanent relationship with a man, it seems the universe won't even let me have a beautiful soulmate dog. Even Penny Cat is upset. And Jared wrote, "You know my thoughts on the subject. I'm so sorry this has happened. I know how happy that little pup made you." And I replied, "I know, Jared. I also know how thrilled you were and how you also fell in love with him and wanted to dog nap him." And my friend Sally wrote, "I'm so sorry to hear this. I'm sure there is a doglet out there for you. Kiss, kiss, kiss." And Tarina wrote, "Sorry to hear this news. His time in your life was short, but he got so much love from you. He will always remember you. You have so much love to give, Tanya." And Karina wrote, "Oh no, this is just awful, awful news. I'm feeling for you, Tanya." And Julie wrote, "I'm sorry, hun. There will be another. Alcide wasn't meant for you, same as Shiloh wasn't meant for the lady who got him. He went to her grandson because they have a bond. Don't be hard on yourself. You will find another. Hugs, hun." And 4 days later, Jared insisted we go and buy little Beauregard. So, that was very loving and encouraging of him because he said, if you don't get another puppy, you'll lose heart and confidence and you won't get a dog. And you had your heart set on having a dog. So he drove me all the way to Inala to buy little Beauregard. And Beauregard was a wonderful soulmate for the 7 years and 8 months that I was able to keep him alive. And there will be no more dogs or cats, although I was tempted the other day. I thought, I'm tempted to get another cat again, because I love Charlie deeply, but it's empty not having a cat in your house. They are great and wonderful healers, and they also are very perceptive. You always know when there's spirits around the house if you have a cat, and they're great friends. But I can't face getting any more pets because the vets, by and large, most of them now are completely evil and mercenary and corrupt and greedy. Although my hairdresser did recommend a vet that she sees who is lovely, but she told me that too little too late after Beauregard had already been euthanised and there was nothing more that could be done. So yes, there are a few good vets, but they're rare as fucking hen's teeth now. It's like trying to find a good doctor these days. I don't understand what has happened to our world. It's a complete inversion and perversion that I'm finding more and more difficult to survive. But here we are. 2014, I put a post up with the lovely flowers from my garden. Sacred space, blessings. Watching Lou on SBS On Demand, very triggering. I have lived that nightmare. Mancora, interesting movie set in Peru, ayahuasca reference. It is supposed to heal PTSD. I should go to the Amazon and try some one day. I guess near the end of my life. It's a bit too late to bother though. Smiley face. Also, I'm loath to take mind-altering drugs because my brain can react very oddly, given it was so damaged by the time I was 7 by that horrific near-death experience when I caught bacterial meningitis from the hot pools in Rotorua. So my brain rewired itself with all the childhood trauma as well. So drugs or mind-altering substances can have a very unusual and congruent effect on me, which is why I don't usually go there, except for on rare occasions a bit of cannabis occasionally. And it's very rare because I can't access it. You know it's summer in Brisbane when you have a packet of matches in your bra in case of a power outage during an epic hailstorm. And here's the hail in my hand. (4:44 p.m. It's beautiful. Hail. Hope my car is alright at Crystal's. Storm incoming. A lot can change in 33 minutes. Stay safe, people. What should your theme song be? I wrote Titanium. Yes. They shoot me down, but I keep going, no matter what. That is my superpower. It's also extremely exhausting, soul depleting, but I keep getting up and up and up. Gar, 12:30 p.m, awake, been only getting 7 to 8 hours sleep like, a normal person. Naturally, I'm still tired. I have let the chooks out and now have the day ahead of me. Tomorrow we go to Byron. Yes! Life will be kick-started again. The Zen zone always rejuvenates my weary, broken spirit. Quite frankly, I need to go there soon too. I really do. I could do with a rejuvenation. Water, sand, sky, and unusual characters all around me, where I am seen without hate or judgment or envy. It is awesome. These are the things that irked me for the past 2 weeks. 1, a tick bite that made a gland go up behind my ear at the base of my head. It was swollen and tender for about 5 days. That was 2 weeks ago when Gail found it on me. 2, very tender Achilles tendon, both feet this time, usually just the right one from my stomping, moshing, dancing style. In fact, they still hurt. Starting to think it is part of the septic arthritis symptoms. 3, several splinters in my finger. These drive me to distraction. The constant stabbing and stinging when you touch anything with the affected area. I have had a thorny splinter from the raspberry lodged in my left thumb pad for a week now. It still hasn't come out. 4, major fatigue. Used to that. 5, epic breakdown on Sunday after the upsets the night before outside the casino. 6, epic highs again after getting message from an old friend. Love never dies. So back up on my Mustang called life and galloping on, but the emotions have run so very low and then so high, but I am balancing out again. Freedom makes me balanced and content. 7, eating ice cream and chocolate for 3 days as I was comforting myself over meltdown, splinter, sphincter, and heels. Oh, you gotta laugh, don't you? 8, not having my car. 9, not having a man to roll over in the morning, look me in the eye and tell me he loves me and mean it, then make love. Yup, major Tanya fantasy, but might be possible one day. Oh, dear goddess. 7 months celibate. Oh, 7 months. What year was this? 2014? Oh, dear goddess. That'd be right. It's been 8 years. And I'm going to stay that way until I work out who really loves me. Not fucking with empty vessels anymore. Don't come to me empty. Come to me replete, full, and ready and able and willing to be my man. Otherwise, fuck off, dickheads. Honestly, it's just, I have to take a moment. Taking a moment. All right, I'm back in the room. I want the deep connection, the loyalty, faithfulness, and real enduring love bond. That's what I want. I made that pretty clear over the years. If I can't even get that, I'm happy to be alone with my animals for the rest of my life. They love me, never cheat or lie or betray me, never play confused schoolboy games, never give up on me, even when I am raw, ugly, and demented. Well, I'm not demented, am I? I'm not. I'm really not. 10. I forgot what 10 was. Everything, everything, everything zen. Get your own material, psychedelic dreamer. Okay. Don't hit me with a flower when I am beating my own bush. Burning bush. Burn, baby. Burn. My heart will go on. All that jazz. And don't forget that old black magic running up and down my spine. At 17 I learned the truth, but I have been in denial ever since. But it's all right now, baby. I will walk on the wild side, flipping a finger and being ironic when I am not catatonic or a cat on the hot tin roof, 'cause it's too hot in the Brisbane CBD for me. They have been trying to drive me out, but they won't conquer my precious, 'cause I know who I am, and I am way better than that, motherfuckers. Just as an aside, can you tell I am out of I scream? Calcified ligaments in my jaw, but I can still scream if I want to. Oh, and what is more, I am happy today, but not too happy. Society prohibits that. Professional hobbits don't like being prohibited. I know, that was a stretch. Oh, now I remember. 10 was the dentist. Still have a sore mouth from Monday, like, what the fuck? So there are 11 irky things, but tomorrow there will be Byron. Crystal bought dinner and my car, but I told her to keep the car till Friday when we go to Byron. She mentioned how much she loves the antique credenza thingy in the lounge. That was my mother's. I was amazed. I thought she hated all that stuff. I was thinking about selling it so I could buy a Pomeranian pedigree puppy. Lucky I didn't, as Crystal loved that piece of furniture, so I will keep it for her. I must ask myself the question, why am I keeping things for kids who don't even value or appreciate me and run for the hills when I think I'm dying. It's just disgraceful. Maybe I should just sell the lot, fuck off and go on a long holiday and never come back. Tempting thought. It is very ironic though, as only 2 years ago I was being told to get rid of all the shit, Mum. We don't want or need it. 2 years ago prior, so that would have been 2012. There were various shrieks that I was a hoarder. Now that I've gotten rid of a lot of excess stuff, they must be freaking I will go all minimalist and get rid of everything. Tempting, lol. Funny how adult kids change their mind about attachments to their family heirlooms, laughing my ass off. It is a nice piece though. I can wait for my new Doggess goddess. She probably hasn't been born yet, meaning the little Pomeranian that I did buy a year later. That went wrong. He was a little male puppy though, not a Doggess goddess, but a dog god. Service due for my car, $334. Fuck it. It's a beautiful day, much cooler. I'm going out to ground with my chooks and garden. 3:56 a.m. Lila Tov, hot, need a shower and a schluff. A schluff means sleep, people. 27th of November, 2011. I slept until 4 p.m, still exhausted from the asthma and the other distressing ugliness. I got up and took Bella to the dog park as she barked last night from 2 to 5 a.m, so as having her own doggy breakdown. She played with 2 little dogs, then we came home and I watered the garden. Feel a lot calmer and very much loved and supported by my wonderful friends. I am so lucky to have you in my life. 27th of November 2009. Is so happy that Crystal got shortlisted in her NIDA audition. Call back on Tuesday. I just know she will rock their world. So thus concludes today's readings from my Vocal Media Journal, and I hope there's something in amongst that is beneficial or helpful to someone out there on the internet or YouTube world. God's bless. I'm actually cold now from my air conditioning, from the sublime to the ridiculous. My skin's gone all blotchy from being overheated and now cold. It's 29 degrees outside. So yes, the weather's looking very, very dodgy indeed. So I'll bring my girl in, and I had plans to do a few things today, but I just didn't feel well, so I left it. I'm off to the hairdresser tomorrow and getting myself all schmick. And I'll have to try and do those few odd jobs that I wanted to do today while I'm out tomorrow. Probably leave a bit earlier for the hairdresser. So anyway, just my musings. Have a beautiful day, afternoon, evening, night, morning, wherever you are in the space-time continuum. And as always, God's bless. Bye for now from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm.